Hello, and welcome to the Media Center's 8th Local Hero Award Series, in which we showcase 6 people from the Mid-Peninsula for outstanding achievement or contributions to the community. We solicited nominations and were particularly looking for the unsung heroes. Each winner is an inspiration, and each has a great story to tell. At first glance, Mary Dunn's work looks pretty straightforward, but she is changing the lives of young people in ways that most of the rest of us can only dream about. Trained as both a teacher and a counselor, she came to the Sequoia Union High School District in 2007, where she met face-to-face some of the challenges that are endemic to any public school system. For those students that fit the mold, these schools can be superb. For those who don't, it can be a tragedy. Mary has created a program which has become a school in its own right. It's called Sequoia Union High Independent Study. It resembles the old-fashioned one-room schoolhouse. Mary, there are other programs out there, remedial programs, tutoring programs with a nice student-teacher ratio like yours. What does your program do that's different from them?
I think the best answer to that question is our program starts with getting to know the student first, and our focus is to be accepting and welcoming, and the students know that. In fact, that's the first thing we tell them, that they'll be safe and accepted and not judged in our program. And I think what makes our program unique is the fact that it is one-on-one, and we really do work with both the student and their family and get to know the whole family and understand the student before we even begin working with them.
Now, right off the bat, I want to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here and say that you understand the students and work with the students. Somebody might extrapolate from that in a public school environment, they don't feel that.
So the students that we serve come to us because they don't feel comfortable in the comprehensive school setting. Many students do, and many students can thrive and be successful in that environment. Our students have certain issues that prevent them from being able to focus and function well in a comprehensive setting. I think that there are incredible public school teachers in our school district and in many school districts that do get to know their students. We're just able to do it on a much smaller one-on-one level because of the nature of our program.
So my guess is that kids come to you for all kinds of reasons. Do you see any themes in what is going on with them before they get to you?
For the most part, and our program has evolved in the 5 years that I've been doing it, but for the most part, the students we're currently serving come to us because they struggle with anxiety or depression or some sort of a physical illness that prevents them from being able to attend school on a regular basis. But I would say there are a lot of kids in the school system that have those issues that don't come to us. So the students we serve either have somebody who advocates for them or they know how to self-advocate and find us. And that's, I think, one of the differences between the students we serve and students like our students who don't get into our program.
So they are choosing. They're not being sent to you?
They're absolutely choosing, yeah. We're a voluntary program.
So the students come to, you have what, 27 students?
I do, yeah.
And
another teacher with 27.
Right,
so, right.
And it is one small room. Again, that we were talking earlier about the one-room schoolhouse. That's how it looked to me when I visited.
Right.
This very small environment, and it's pretty much one-on-one, you and the student, right?
That's right. And I think for our students, what happens is they've never been in a situation where they literally are one-on-one with the teacher talking about their learning and their strengths and their weaknesses and their hopes and their future. And every single day that the students are with us, that's what we're doing. And sometimes they'll say, you know, I've never read a book in school. I've never had to do it, but I have to do it because you're asking me questions and you're looking at me and I have to know the answer, you know. Or they'll say, I never even knew I could read a book. I didn't know that I could read questions in a textbook and understand what I was reading because I never had to. I was just one person sitting in a classroom, but now you're asking me direct questions.
Now, were you ever shocked to hear a student say, I've never read a book?
It shocks me every time I hear it, and I hear it a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these students come and they spend time with you in this very, kind of closed environment. What differences? Describe the students when they come in and when they come out.
Okay. So I would say the biggest thing that happens when the kids come in is they're nervous. They have no idea what to expect. They don't, they don't know what's going to happen in the program because it's not really advertised. It's not really out there what we do unless they have a friend or whatever who happens to be in our program. So I would say what happens with our kids is they come in, they're used to failing in school. That's why they're with us. And that's what they expect, and that's what they know. So we talk to them about the fact that that's not going to be the case with us. We, in fact, when we first started the program, we told the kids we only give A's. That's the only grade we ever give because these kids have never seen an A, many of them. They don't even know what it feels like to have a teacher say to them, well done.
And that doesn't backfire. Always get an A. I don't have to do anything. I just get an A.
Right. No, and we no longer do that. We can't continue to do that. But the kids know if they give us their best effort, and they know if I know that they're giving me their best effort, that I'm going to reward that. And so what happens with the students is they'll come in, and initially they're used to a large public school setting. But after they see that, we're a comfortable place, we're a safe place, they are going to do their work because they have to, and they are going to be successful, they open up and we start to learn more about them, and they become more comfortable talking about their struggles and their hopes and their plans for the future. And because we're independent and we're one-on-one, we can have those conversations with our students. So from the time they come until the time they leave, if the students were here talking to you, they would say, I've grown up, I've changed, I know what I want to do in my future, and I know that I have the capabilities and the ability and the desire to do it. So I would say, beginning to end, most of our students, that's what happens.
That's huge.
They grow up.
That's huge.
Yeah, they grow up.
How many of the students who come succeed and how many don't?
So I was thinking about that question, and in truth, almost all of the kids that come into us are successful. We've had, over the course of the 5 years, I think 1 or 2 students that we've lost to and haven't known where they are, but we have been able to keep in contact with their families and eventually find out what has happened to them. Most of our students end up achieving whatever it is that they decide while they're with us they want to do. And some of our students return to the public school setting, which is also a success. Some go straight into the community college. Some go straight into technical schools or vocational schools, or we have some this year that will be going straight into four-year colleges.
I'm trying to figure out, it's almost as if there's something magical that happens. And what you're describing is one-on-one attention. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling there's something else, that it's not just enough to have one-on-one attention.
Okay, so both myself and my co-teacher, Tina, we know that the most important thing is that relationship that we develop with our students, and that is foremost the most important thing that we do. And how do we do that? We do that by showing the kids absolute unconditional acceptance, meeting them where they are. And I know that sounds like a buzzword, but we truly do it. If we have a student who's struggling, or maybe they're in the hospital, we'll go see them in the hospital. If we have a student who can't get to us because they don't have transportation, we'll go pick them up. If we have a student who can't come that day because they're babysitting the other kids in the family because their mom is sick or whatever, we reschedule with them. We are absolutely 100% accommodating, and we want that. That's important to us. When I first started working in an alternative school setting, I remember my principal said to me, "We are the school of 100 chances. We don't say no. We don't give up." And that's my heart. I don't, and I tell the kids when they enroll in our program, I say it sarcastically, but I say to them, you're signing this master agreement, you're agreeing to be in our program because it's voluntary, but once you sign this, you're mine. And when you're mine, you succeed. That's what you're choosing. And the kids are like, oh yeah, right, whatever. But I tell them that, and I mean it. And when they're having a hard time, I tell them, remember, I told you, you're mine. You're not failing. You're not dropping out. You're not leaving. You're mine. You're staying here. And I think because I can do that, because I know the students and they know that I care about them, and it's not phony, it's real, they respond to that because maybe they've never received that before.
It's possible that somebody could actually, I mean, they could take advantage of this and become really entitled and spoiled. No matter what, she's gonna be there for me.
That's
Doesn't
right.
sound like that happens, or does that happen?
It doesn't happen normally. I can think of, as you were saying that, I can think of a student that fits that bill. But here's my philosophy about that. That student fits that bill because that's what that student knows, and that's what that student's learned. She's learned how to manipulate a system. So, and that's learned behavior. That's not something, in my opinion, you're born with. So it's my job to unlearn that behavior for her.
And how do you do that? How do you, this has relevance for difficult students everywhere.
In my opinion and in my philosophy, you hold students accountable. You unconditionally love them and you support them, but you hold them accountable. If you draw a line, they can't cross that line.
For example?
For example, if you say to a student, we might have to edit this because it's true. If you say to a student, this is what you need to do, you need to be here 3 days a week, you will study for your GED test, and that student doesn't come. You call that student, you call that student, you call that student. You call that student's mother. If necessary, you call that student's probation officer. You do what you need to do without giving up to say to that student, this is what you agreed to. This is what you will do. I'm not giving up on you. You will do it. In the case that I'm thinking about as I'm sharing this with you, I have literally gone to the student's home. I've literally been in constant contact with the student's mother, and the student knows it. So she might disappear for a week or two, but she always comes back. And she comes back because it's safe and it's supportive, and she knows I have her cell phone. I'm going to stay in touch with her. Does that answer?
That absolutely does. It sounds like you're a force of nature not to be reckoned with in some sense, but a loving force of nature.
Try.
I gather your notion of success is not identical to the notion of success maybe in public schools or in the world in general. Tell me a little bit about those differences.
For me, what's important for all of the students that I work with is that they see that they have a future, and they see that they have ability and talent and dreams and desires. And it doesn't mean that they're going to finish high school and go to Harvard, or finish high school and go to Stanford, finish high school and go directly into a 4-year college. If they want that, I want them to have that opportunity, and we work hard to provide that for them. But for me, success means being fulfilled in what you choose to do when you're finished with high school, and knowing that what you choose to do is going to be something you're going to enjoy and benefit from. So we spend a lot of time, or I spend a lot of time, talking to my students about what they're going to do when they're 25. What do they think their life is going to look like, and what kind of a lifestyle do they want to have? Do they want to have a nice car? Do they want to have a nice home? Do they want to work in a job where they make $8 an hour? You know, and we talk a lot about that, and I think doing that helps the students see that they have a future, and that they need to make choices today to, you know, to get to that future.
Now, I gather you give them a lot of freedom in customizing everything. How you're going to study, what you're going to study. Give me some examples of that.
Okay, so we are an independent study, and we are a public school, and our students have to meet the requirements just the same as another public school in terms of the standards that they're learning. So, for example, let's say I have a junior, and they are supposed to take an English class, a math class, a U.S. history class, a PE class, an art class, whatever. They're going to do all of those things, but I can have flexibility in this way. I can say to a student, well, you're in a United States history class. One of the things you're supposed to understand is what a totalitarian government is, or what happened in World War II, why it began, how it ended. How would you like to show me how you've learned that? And so I can provide them the material to learn it. Then they can say to me, I'd like to have a conversation with you about what I know, ask me questions. Or they can say to me, I'd like to make a PowerPoint, or I'd like to make a poster, write a song. You know, I can have that kind of flexibility with the kids. And sometimes they can say to me, I don't understand that at all. I read this, I don't understand it. And we can sit there and have a conversation about it, and that meets the standard. So sometimes a student will come in and they'll say, I want to take all 5 of my classes. And I'll say, that's great. And I give them assignments in all 5 classes. Sometimes they'll say, you know, I work full time. I think I can only do 1 class at a time. I'll say, that's great too.
Is there a danger with infinite flexibility of losing control? Or maybe just really slacking off and not meeting standards?
I think so. But again, because yes, for sure that's true, because you've seen that in, you know, in certain schools where that can happen. And I've been in education long enough to see what it's like to say, this is, you know, standards based and we're going to just do drill and kill, and this is open, you know, open school forum and everybody can learn how they want to learn. And for us, in our little teeny tiny independent study program, we can tailor it to the needs of our students, and we can monitor it. So if I have a student who's not performing where they're supposed to be performing, I can say to them, you know, it looks like you're taking this geometry class, but you haven't done anything for a week in this class. So here's the deal. Come every day and show me every day what you've accomplished. And that's what I might have to do with the student. Again, we're small. It's one-on-one, so we have that kind of flexibility.
Now, you presumably have, if not the most difficult students, among the difficult students that are out there. Tell me a story about, like, the most difficult student you can ever remember.
The most difficult. Well, I can think of 2, and I just want to tell you about one student who I just received a phone call from the other day who's now 21. And he is actually working for the Menlo Park Fire Department. When he came to me, he was, I believe he was a junior, and he had been in all 4 of our comprehensive schools and in a couple of schools outside of our system, and never had been successful. Very big, very verbose, very loves to be the center of attention student. When he came to me, he was not anywhere close to finishing his credits, didn't want to be in school, but he had an idea, and his idea was he wanted to be a firefighter. That's what he knew he wanted to do. So we worked on, I think we did 1 or 2 classes at a time, and a lot of the work we did together because it was hard for him. He hadn't passed the California high school exit exam. We studied for that together, one-on-one. We worked hard together. That student still gives me Mother's Day cards for Mother's Day, and called the other day to tell me that he's working at the Menlo Park Fire Department, and if I had any students who wanted to come see it, I could bring them there. So that's the student I'm thinking about. I think
Tell me, there was another incident that you alluded to earlier that I would love to hear again about the computer keyboard.
Yeah, I know you're thinking about that. So I have the very first student that enrolled in independent study, and I just want to say, in fairness to where we were then and where we are today, when I started this program 5 years ago, we were serving 2 populations. One was teen moms who were with me because they didn't have access to daycare and couldn't attend school. And we were serving students who are what's called being on a suspended expulsion, so not allowed to be in the school where they were expelled from, but still allowed to remain in our district. The student that we're referencing was the first student that I had in independent study. Our program has changed, and we're no longer serving that population of student, but this student is an example of what both Tina and I do to show our kids that we're not giving up on them. This student was expelled, did not want to be in independent study, was my first independent study student. He had not been successful in the comprehensive school, and he got in trouble for taking the keyboard and rearranging the letters on the keyboard to say something that wasn't very nice about the teacher of the class he was in. So he was expelled, and when I first started to see him, he refused to see me. I would call and call and call, and he'd say, you know, a lot of things, but basically, I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing it. And I finally went to his house, and he finally said to me, I think I went to his house 3 times before he actually would agree to meet with me, and he finally said to me, you're not going away, are you? And I said, no, you're going to get your high school diploma. So that student is, by the way, now working and attending community college, but he's the student, the first student when I started independent study who said to me, I don't know how to read a textbook. I've never read a textbook, never. I'm like, well, let me show you. This is what you do. And we did it together. And little by little, that student started doing work and experiencing success. He started coming almost every day. We had a math tutor at the time. He worked with the math tutor, and it changed his life. And he ended up enrolling in community college and being successful.
Now, you in your own life have walked your talk, as it were. Tell me about that.
So when I met you, I can't remember why, but we started talking about my own family. And I have 2 kids. They are now 28 and 26, and they are adopted. When I was teaching elementary school, this was back in 1990, geez, do I know? 1995, 1996. I was teaching elementary school and homeschool, and I was also a Sunday school teacher. The two students who ended up becoming my husband and my son and daughter were in my Sunday school class and in my homeschool program. And their father was an alcoholic, and he died. And their mother, during that time, she was taking care of him, and she got breast cancer, and she ended up dying as well. During that time, the kids were staying with me. I wasn't married yet, and the kids were staying with me off and on while she was trying to get treatment. And at the time, they were 7 and 9 when this started, and they were 9 and 11 when their mom passed away. And so their mother had asked me if I would raise the kids, and I first said no, because as a single woman, it would be hard, and she just kept asking me, will you take the kids, will you take the kids? And I finally said yes, and she said to me, I don't think I told you this, but she said to me, you're going to marry Carmine, that's my husband, you're going to marry him, you're going to raise my kids. And that's what ended up happening. So our kids are 2 of the most beautiful people I know. They're beautiful people. My daughter's in Africa right now. I think she's today finishing climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and my son just got out of the military. So anyway.
And how does that work with your work? How does that enhance, dovetail with?
I think what I learned in being a mom of 2 kids that had a hard start and a hard go of, you know, making it with such loss. What I learned and what I carry with me every day is students and kids, people really, nobody wants to wake up in the morning and fail. Nobody wants that. You know, they just want to wake up in the morning and have a good day and experience success and joy. And that's what I want for my students, and that's what I expect for my students, and I don't accept anything but that. So for me, it's how I feel as an educational philosophy. I feel that way, but I also feel that way in my spirit and in who I am.
That word spirit, you have been described as, I think, quote, the most spiritual person I know. Why do you think that is, and what does that mean?
It's funny because I know somebody else I say that to all the time. You're the most spiritual person I know. For me, spirituality is everything. It's everything. And for me, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my life's work is to help kids. And I don't feel like, I know that it's a gift that I have, but I don't feel like it's because I worked hard at it. I just feel it's a gift that I have, and it's been given to me, and I need to honor that. And I consider myself kind of a vessel of something much bigger than who I am and what I do every day, every moment of every day. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but it's an incredibly inspiring note to go out on. So we'll leave it right there. Thank you for talking with us, and congratulations on your award again. And thank you to our crew, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Do you know someone who has overcome significant hardship and has an inspiring story to tell? Someone who has sacrificed or given over and above to the community and deserves some recognition? If so, please contact us with your nomination for next year's Local Hero Awards. To find out more about our local heroes and to watch interviews with all the winners, visit our website, midpenmedia.org. At the Mid-Peninsula Community Media Center, you can make your own videos and television programs and take classes in all aspects of media production. You can also hire our professional services team. To find out more about that, go to mcproservices.com. Congratulations to all our winners, and thank you for watching.